So you know that song? It's called "You Haven't Done Nothing." Stevie Wonder. There's a stanza in there that I love, and I think it's so appropriate. We are amazed, but not amused by all the things that you say that you'll do, though much concerned, but not involved with decisions that are made by you. Because if you really want to hear our views, you haven't done nothing. This week, members of the Federal Reserve spent a whole lot of time talking and talking and talking. But what exactly are they saying? Joining me now, Bianco Research President Jim Bianco. Now, Jim, I know you're a Stevie fan, my man. So that was a classic, more maybe about politicians, but certainly appropriate these days for the White House, even maybe the Fed. But now you're saying they're honing in on a position, on a real clear message, and maybe we don't want to hear it.
Yeah, so we're talking about Stevie, the songs and the keys of life here for the Fed. And basically what they're going to do, or what they're suggesting, is they're happy with what we've seen with the stock market in the last week or two. They're talking about tightening financial conditions. As Mary Daly of the San Francisco Fed said, Jerome Powell last night in a radio interview with MarketWatch said that demand for the labor market is out of whack, which means they can hike rates a lot and scare people into spending less to bring down inflation. And they don't believe that will lead to excessive unemployment or a weakening economy. So the Fed really is not your friend right now when it comes to the markets, because their priority is not growth, it's inflation. So
the Fed now willing to pick recession over markets. What about when the inflation readings start to change? I think to your point, their back is against the wall. They've backed themselves into a corner. But if they get some glimmers of peak inflation, could that change?
Glimmers of peak inflation, probably not, because they've said that they expect, and I even expect, the inflation rate is peaking right now. But really the question is, how fast does it come down in the future? And if the answer is not very, they're going to continue to go aggressive. And boy, when you say their back is against the wall, let's remember that President Biden said, my number one priority is to bring inflation down. And then in the next sentence, he said, Jay Powell's going to fix it. Yeah. So they've really got their back about this. It's all on them to do something about inflation.
Speaking of Powell, how surprised are you at how easily he sailed through yesterday?
Not surprised. I mean, he's a fan. He's got fans on both sides of the aisle. He was appointed by a Republican, so there's still a lot of Republican support for him. He was reappointed by a Democrat. There's Democrat support for him. And kudos to Jay Powell, an 80-19 vote. You know, for the last decade or two, the number of people voting in the Fed chairman has been less and less. Something truly bipartisan happened with Congress, and that was the Jay Powell appointment.
Yeah, an eclectic mix among those 19. Let's switch to the administration. Seems to be in some sort of fishing expedition here. If you listen between the lines, every time President Biden speaks, either they want to get into the meat processing business or they want to seed some companies, and now it feels they're talking more and more price controls. How much of a mistake would that be?
Oh, it would be a tremendous mistake. Nancy Pelosi has a bill coming on this floor that they're going to call it excess prices of gasoline. Well, what is an excess price? But a price control. Somebody in Washington will decide what a gallon of gas is. What typically happens when you fix the price is that when refiners can't make money, they stop refining, and then you run out of product, and then you have 70-style gas lines all over again. You will have a supply shortage if you fix the price. It's unfortunate the price has to go up. The answer is always increase the supply. Don't try and manipulate the price of it.
I want to ask you quick about the markets. I got a minute to go. A lot of movement this week. The bond yields have been all over the place. Crypto has gotten hammered, starting to come back here a little bit. And then there's the stock market. I mean, what's the message, overall message that you're getting from these markets?
There's fear and there's uncertainty. And the fear is about what is the economy going to do? And the uncertainty is whether or not we're going to have a recession because of what we said earlier. The Fed's committed to fighting inflation. Does that mean that we're going to have what we call a hard landing? Does that mean that we are going to misjudge and have excessive unemployment and maybe a reduction in the economy in the process of fixing the inflation issue? So there's a lot of anxiety that the answer to those questions, unfortunately, might be yes. We're going to have problems with the economy as we try to deal with this inflation issue.
Jim, thank you very much, my friend. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Fox News contributor Dave Webb.